Hey, what's going on, everybody? What is happening? Happy Wednesday, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. I have an exciting show for you today. About 3 questions we're going to be answering, and from youth pastors. And if you are just scrolling by and you have no idea what's going on here, my name is Paul Turner from thediscipleproject.net, and I'm super happy to be with you. I gather here all the folks that I can here on a Wednesday, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time in the afternoons here, so that I can open up my office and just answer questions. That's what I want to do. I want to answer questions from youth pastors. And so that's what I do every week. And so if you're joining me for the first time, I want to welcome you in. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part. And like I said, I try to answer 3 questions, and we're going to answer 3 pretty good questions today. So if you're interested in asking a question, you can always leave it in the chat if you're with me live, or if you're watching in the future, well, be sure to go ahead and leave one down in the comments, and I can answer that for the next time. So, lots to do today, so I'm going to go ahead and jump into it because, well, it's Wednesday, and some of you are going to be just busy, so you'd like me to just get on with it so you can do some more youth ministry things if you're not ready for your youth meeting, which I hope you are. I hope you are. So, this first question is brought to you by my newsletter. It's Youth Ministry Roundup newsletter. It has tons of resources in it, all kinds of freebies you can get that I send out. So if you're interested, it has, like I said, I do articles on trends in culture, youth ministry articles, not just about youth ministry, but for the youth pastor to kind of help and assist with, your journey, both in your soul, but also in your skills. So I want to help you there. So we give you some articles for that. It has job postings I put in there, what I'm reading, what I'm listening to. There's free stuffs. I'll put in my playlist sometimes, my youth group, youth room playlist that I have going on. And so it's really super valuable. So I'm going to encourage you, jump in there, try it out for yourself. There'll be a link down below, and you get a freebie. So, get excited, right? That's, everybody likes free stuff. And so, like I said, I think the value's there for you. I've been sending out, let's say I have sent out over 200, 300 newsletters. And so I'm not new to the game. And so I try to make sure that I put just the stuff that I think is going to be valuable for you. And so that's going to help you in your youth ministry, build a successful youth ministry, but also build the soul in the process, because you can build a great youth ministry and lose your soul, as the scripture says, right? You can gain the whole world, lose your soul. I don't want you to gain the whole youth ministry and lose yourself. So this newsletter kind of balances that out for you, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into the first question. First question is, Paul, what texting apps do you use with your students? And this is something I see quite a bit across the board of, well, Paul, what kind of apps? I want to send group texts, to my students. What do you use? Well, I'm going to share with you just a few things. I'm going to share what would I say is the bigger platforms, and then I'm going to show you some smaller apps that you can use, and something, and then I'll show you what I use with my kids, right? So because there's texting services and there's apps, and it really just determines, you have to decide how you want to communicate with your students. Is it just something you want, to send out a message? Does it have to be super immediate into their, text, into their phones? Those kind of things, right? So you can make groups and all those kind of things. So let's go ahead and just show you I want to show you some of the bigger plans. I think what we do is when we Google things like youth group or church texting plans, things like that, a lot of the ones that I see are just mass, right? They have, it's for these massive groups, and most of the youth groups I know are not massive groups, right? We're talking about like hundreds of people. Most of the youth pastors I know do not pastor groups with 100 or so people. So I want to show you this here. So here's the first one. When I look at this, I just Googled and said, hey, here's here, what do we have? Well, there's Clearstream, and I'm only going to show you the prices here because you can see, I think that's going to be for a lot of churches, it's going to be the determining price. It's going to be the determining factor is the price. And so this operates, you can see, on a credit basis. And so for the first 100 credits for Clearstream, you're going to get 100 credits, and it works out as 1 credit per text. And so you have unlimited keywords, local 10-digit numbers, 0 sub-accounts, and all other features included. Now, as you see, then it moves up to $29 a month, and that's $1,200. I don't know how much you text your kids, right? You have to determine, well, I'm going to send X amount of texts per month. So it's going to be, so if I have 15 kids, I'm going to text them once a week. So that's 60 texts. So you could get by on the free. If you wanted to do free and you say, I'm going to send one text a month or one text a week, then you're covered there. If you said, I want to send 20, let's see, 25. Let's say you do 25 and you have a group of 25 and you want to send one text a week just to send a devotion, or you say, well, I'm going to kind of do a one text and it's going to be like a little newsletter type of a thing, then you can use something like this. And get away with that if you have about 25 students or less. Now, if you're a super busy church, then it's going to be a different story, but free might work for you. But as you can see, the price goes up for $30 and say, well, I want to, text my kids twice a week or whatever it may be. And let's be really honest. I don't know if I can only speak for me, but I don't know if my students want to hear from me more than, as far as in their texts, more than, twice a week. So unless it's important or unless I'm just dropping an encouragement, and so I don't know. That's just me. Okay. So let's go ahead and look at another one here. And this is for Breeze. And Breeze is a lot of these operate on a credit basis. This is just a straight $72 a month, and then it's 2.9% plus 30 cents per text. And so you can see there that for $72 a month, you're going to get unlimited people, unlimited, everything. But for this type of text, because I've seen this suggested, and if you have a budget to do that, and you have a big enough group that's going to, be able to, you're going to be able to facilitate that. You send out that many texts or that many things. Well, then this might be a plan for you. But I don't see too many small youth groups that can be able to use a plan like this, because they're not going to text that much. And once again, my students don't want to hear from me that much. So $72 a month is going to be a bite out of the budget. But once again, it just depends on how much you text your kids. If you say, I'm texting them 5 times a week and I'm having to text them all the time, okay, I think that's a bit much, but you do you. That's what I'm saying. So let me show you another one here. And this is simple texting. Simple texting. Now, this is a little bit better as far as price goes. And you get, once again, this is 500 credits and 5.5 cents per additional credit. You can pay monthly, pay annually, but you're going to do $29 a month. You're getting 500 credits. So once again, you're going to get, all these, things here. Once again, I don't know how much you use or how much you will use. You get unlimited contacts and so forth. So once again, it really is about price. For me, I don't need a lot of these things. If you have I'd say this probably, for a mid-size type of youth group, maybe if you're running 50 to 75 students, something like that, and you're having to text, parents, and once again, it's not just about texting kids. It is about texting parents. So yes, you may send a text to kids once per week. You may send a text to parents once a week. So you're sending, 2 texts, 25, if you have a youth group of 25, so it's 50 texts a week, right? We can't forget that you're going to and then if you have small groups, and then if you have those things, well, then yes, it's going to add up. If you have the budget for it and you want to be able to do that, then I say go all guns in. In the beginning, my head was just thinking students, but now you start to think, well, yeah, Paul, I have, different groups I need to text every week. Well, then this can be something for you if you want to do that. Let's go ahead and look at Band. And Band is an app, and this is in the App Store here. Could not find a desktop version to look at. So this is just something I looked up here. This is this seems to be pretty. This is for your phone. It's got all these, got a hub to keep you organized, everything in one place, hold each other accountable. Little notices, are you fed up sending dozens of emails and SMS when your group needs to make a decision, and then still having to call people who don't respond, tired of getting messages mixed up in your group chat? Whenever you try to collect opinions, Bannon can help you with this tiresome cycle of disorganized communication. So if you want something a little, once again, some of these are fairly are fairly advanced in some ways, and it has a lot of tools that you may or may not be interested in. Okay, and that's that. So let me go ahead and go to where I want to show you some of the iPhone apps that I can show you. So let me show you some of the iPhone apps here that I looked at. So there's an app called, this is just a simple search that said group texting, and I have downloaded each of these and put my students in. I just put like 3 names in, something like that, and I only have, like I said, I only have a group of 6 or 7. So for me, I don't text them a whole bunch, but I'll show you what I do use with them to be able to communicate with them. And so then you have the group text, because there's texting services and then there's just apps you can use. So this here is an actual texting group app. And for this, I've downloaded, and it's super easy. This is, I just look for ease of use. I want to just be able to type my message, do the thing, and send it out there. So for me, group text worked out really well. I didn't mind that the ease of it. Its setup is super simple, and so that's a pretty good app. Let me show you another one here. There's one called SendHype. Once again, downloaded it, put some names in it. Did not send a text yet. And by the way, for these, at least for the group text one, they recommend you turn off your iMessage, because otherwise you're going to get this, I believe, if I read it right, that you get basically that it gets, it's a blast where then all the names are in there. So in order to be able to send messages individually, you have to turn off your iMessage. And this may be true of all these apps, that you have to turn off your iMessage to be able to use it. And then you have to remember to turn your iMessage back on. But SendHype, once again, was easy to set up. Not a lot of bells and whistles. It's kind of like what I just wanted to do. These are free. Both the group text and the SendHype was free. And then there's one other one called Hit 'em Up. And Hit 'em Up I liked because it had a really good tutorial. It had a good tutorial video, just right there in the app that they watched. You had a good tutorial. It's got support, does all the FAQs. And so for me, something like this, it didn't have a lot of bells and whistles, but it did have a little bit more color, maybe a little bit more, maybe it did have bells and whistles. It did have some noises and some color to it and things like that, where the other ones were pretty straight. But then again, I mean, how much do you need, right? That's the question you have to ask as a youth worker. You have to say, how much do I actually need, right? So let me show you what I use. Those are the apps there. Now I'll show you what I use. Now I use GroupMe, and so GroupMe is just a message. It's just like a message board. And so for me, I'll just kind of show you what I have. This is my feed, and it is just a little something here. It's got that's what it looks like. Oop, go crazy. That's what it looks like. Given the songs for tonight. Up here you can see you can do polls in it, and then a little hey there, happy Wednesday. A little happy Wednesday to you. And so that's kind of my feed there. And then if you want to do pics, of course you can just drop your pics in there. You can see you got camera, photo album, documents if you need to do that. And then it has a location, which I don't use a ton of that. I mean, I'm sure it's fine for something, but I don't use it. Of course, you got to have your GIFs. And yes, they're GIFs. Don't give me any. Don't leave. That's fine. If you think they're GIFs, it's perfectly okay. No judgment here. Only a little bit. Okay, just a little bit of judgment. All right. So you have your GIFs there, and then you have polls, and so you can do polls there. And so that's where you saw there. I would say, hey, are you going to the event? Yes or no, and they can chime in with what they want to do. Hopefully they do want to go to the event. It's going to be a fun event. We're going to a little place called Shindigs. But yeah, those are the texting apps. If you have any questions about the apps, once again, I'm not an expert on this, but I do like to fiddle around with things. I like to try things out. And if it is something that you have about any of these apps, once again, all the apps were free. There's the I'll put all the links down below, at least for the the desktop versions. I'll put links down to those below. But if you have any questions about the texting apps, anything like that, I'll try to help. And maybe you just need some help with some basic stuff. If I can help, I will, and I'll do my best. So, but those are texting. Those are the texting apps. Hopefully, you can find something that is useful for you. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's jump into question number 2 today. We are answering 3 questions today. We have 1 down, 2 more to go. Let's go to the second question. This question is going to be brought to you by the Youth Ministry in Motion podcast. If you are interested in a podcast, and what you hear on the podcast is me talking, just real talk with you, just like I'm talking here. And we do fun things on there as well. Sometimes I'll do what's called the motion metrics and do shout outs and, just talk about my youth group a little bit and things like that. And then I just break down some thought that I'm having for the week, and hopefully it's of value to you. So if you are interested in the Youth Ministry in Motion podcast, you want to subscribe, and that comes out usually every Sunday. I drop episodes once a week, every Sunday, usually around 4 p.m., and then you can kind of listen before you get your week going. If there's something, that you say, hey, I just need some encouragement. And I always end the podcast with some encouraging words for you, so that you can say, hey, all right, we just, I feel like I can do this thing this week. I feel like I can jump in there. Okay. And so question number 2 today is, any ideas or suggestions when you don't have enough leaders to do small groups? And I think this is a question of perspective. I see my youth group as all leaders. I'm working on them to be leaders. Now, are they all upfront leaders? Are they all, what the question is, how do you see a leader? What is a leader? And how does a leader act? And what can a leader do? If a leader is a servant, well, then everybody can serve. If a leader is somebody of great influence, which that's what leadership is, influence. But if you see leadership as somebody that has a tremendous amount of influence in your group, well then, okay, that's a leader. To me, I see everybody's a leader. So if I don't have enough adults to be able to do small groups for that night or something, maybe somebody calls in and says, hey, I can't, excuse me, I can't make it tonight. I'll say, okay. And then I will then think about, okay, who is coming tonight that I think has the skills to lead a small group that's one of my students. And hopefully I have done my job of helping students come along in a way where this would not be the first time I'm asking them to do something, such as lead a small group. Maybe they've led small groups with their peers before. Maybe I've given them a chance to do something. So I'm always in that preparation process. Yes, I want adults to be able to lead the groups, because if I'm doing small groups, I want an adult who has a certain amount of depth. They know the lesson well. They know they have skills to teach, things like that. I want that. But I also want, too, that if a leader can't show up, that a student can step in. And will they lead as well as an adult leader? Maybe not. But if I give them a sheet, and I've done my due diligence to train, to lead them, to do some of these things, and I have a leadership group that I'm working with, then I have no problem with saying, hey, to some of my older kids, if they're juniors or seniors in high school, and I say, hey, listen, would you help lead small group tonight? So-and-so is not going to be here. Would you help? Now, you could set up your small groups where you have one adult leader and one student leader. That means it is that adult's responsibility to mentor and lead that student in their small group, that if they are not there for some reason, then that student's going to step in and be able to facilitate that meeting for some reason. And on purpose, that leader would say, hey, listen, I'm not going to teach tonight. Why don't you go ahead and teach? Or, hey, I'm not going to be here tonight, gives them somebody to communicate with. So it doesn't always drop it in your lap that you then have to facilitate those things. That could be, should be. One of the things an adult leader can do is be able to say, well, listen, if you're not going to be here, I need you to find your own replacement. But if you build it in, if you bake the cake with those ingredients in, it says, look, your first choice, that if you can't do this, make sure you're raising up a leader within your small group that could lead that group if you're not there. And yes, have another adult that you could call that's, approved by me, the youth pastor, that says, hey, yeah, call them, let them come on in, and let them be a part. And so if you'll do that and you say, in other words, too, what I'm really saying is, look, there's no reason, if you have small groups and you're really laying the groundwork, there's no reason that you don't have enough leaders to lead small groups, because you either have enough adult leaders or you have enough adult leaders and enough student leaders that if an adult leader can't be there for some reason, then a student can step in and facilitate that small group. Because normally you're talking, 20 minutes, 30 minutes tops, maybe, that student has to facilitate that. And then if you're free as the youth leader, if you don't have to fill in, which is a great goal to have, not having to fill in, where you then can go visit small groups if you're doing them on a Wednesday night. Or if you're not doing a small group, you can say, hey, I'll show up. If the student's going to lead that small group, I'll show up to that home or show up to that place, and I'll just hang out. You're not going to, I'm not going to lead anything. I'm just going to be there to support the student leader who may be leading that. And so if you are preparing well, you will go ahead and make sure that you are preparing students as well as adult leaders to help step in so that small groups can happen. And you'll never have to say, well, we can't have small groups tonight because so-and-so can't make it. That's the downer, the downside of that is, you don't want to be able to say that. I don't want to be able to say that. I want to be able to say, hey, we're having small groups tonight and Mr. Jones is not here tonight, but Caleb is going to do the small group tonight. So we're all good. Because if kids know Caleb, trust Caleb, like Caleb, then Caleb's stepping in there and you've affirmed him and you're working with him and you're helping them get along, then you're going to be able to have small groups no matter what. So that's my answer to that is lay the groundwork, work with students, that it is assumed that I'm helping you to become the leader you need to become. So at some point I can call upon you and say, would you lead this small group if we are missing a small group leader? So yeah, that is question number 2. And man, we are burning through them today. Once again, if you are just joining us and you're just jumping in here, and you don't know who I am, you're scrolling along, you go, who is this guy? What is he talking about? My name is Paul Turner from thediscipleproject.net, and I answer 3 questions every Wednesday in what I call office hours, every Wednesday, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, and I do my best to answer these questions. So if you have a question and you're in the chat, you're welcome to leave a comment and ask a question. Or if you're watching this in the future, be sure to go ahead and leave a comment down below. Would love to hear from you. And you can, put your question there, and hopefully I'll be able to answer it in the next session. So, yeah. So visit thediscipleproject.net, and you will find all kinds of good things there. You'll see the blog. I have a little over, 1,200 articles there on youth ministry. You can get to the podcast. You can get to the YouTube channel. You can get to all those things. Okay? All right, let's move on to question number 3. So question number 3 is, let's see, nope, we've already done that. Question number 3 is brought to you by My Youth Meeting Playbook. Question number 3 is, I'll share with you in just a second, but this book here, I have just reformatted it, get some updates to it, and My Youth Meeting Playbook is a dual book, if you will. The first part of the book, the My Youth Meeting Playbook part, goes through everything that a meeting is, or everything that a youth meeting, all the elements of the youth meeting, everything from announcements to worship, to ministering the word, to altar calls, to giving, the offering. I have a well over, I think it has 17, 18 chapters to it, and I break down the pieces and the parts of what makes for a great youth meeting and how you can have a great youth meeting. If you're struggling to format, if you're struggling to focus, if you're struggling to what goes into this meeting, what doesn't go into this meeting, how can I get really narrow it down into what can we do to be effective in this hour or 90 minutes that we have together with students? How can I maximize that time? Then this book is for you. This is going to break everything down. It has checklists, recommended checklists that I've made, and then blank checklists that you can put on yours, because you say, well, because my checklist and your checklist are not going to be the same per se, except for the major elements. But there's some things in your youth ministry you're going to want to put in there. Say, all right, that's on the checklist. I got to make sure that these things are happening, within the youth meeting. You may not do everything within a youth meeting every week. You may not have worship every week, based on whether or not you have a band or whether or not you do videos or something like that. For whatever reason, you may not do music. You may not do certain things every week. But that's what the checklist is for, to be able to say, okay, this week we're going to do this, and this week we're going to do that, and you'll check off, right? The second half of the book, which is the actual planning part, it's the planner sheets, right? Because you need a playbook and you need a planner. The thing about planners, when you buy planners at the for the beginning of the year or whatever, planners don't tell you how to plan. The playbook tells you how to plan. It gives you all the elements. I write all the things for that, to give you the recommendations, to inspire you, to kind of expand your thoughts on what a youth meeting could be. And then you need the planner part, because now I've just taught you how to fill out that sheet, because now that sheet, everything on that sheet is now, you can say, I'm going to fill that out because I've just read through all this. What do I want to add to my meeting? And all those elements are on that. There's 52 of them. And that's because normally you have 52 meetings a year, right? And so 52 meetings a year, you have 52, and then there's a blank sheet in there. So if you just want to make copies of it and do that every week, you can do that as well. So yeah, my youth meeting playbook, you can check it out. There'll be links down in the description down there below. You can check it out, pick it up for yourself if you want to put together a youth meeting. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at question number 3. Question number 3 is, how do you use Instagram for your youth group? Well, it's a good question, because I think people want or need ideas to engage with students. And for me, in fact, let me go ahead and I'll just go ahead and bring mine up here. Let's see here. We'll go ahead and bring mine up, and we will just show you. Once again, it's mine is different in this sense. It's not strictly a youth group Instagram. A lot of my students don't have Instagram, and some of your students don't have Instagram. So really, if you have to pick the platform that your students are going to be your students are going to be using, because otherwise, you're not going to be reaching them. You're just not going to be reaching them. So let me show you my feed here. Let's see here. Here we go. So this is my personal feed. And so I connect with students on my personal feed because, I try to be a whole person. So if you have a youth ministry Instagram solely for that, then you might have to feed that more with content and with, things that are going to engage students, which means you're going to have to create, more stuff, especially if it's apart from your Instagram account. And so you have 2 accounts and you're updating your own, and it can be tiring. Let's just be honest. I mean, it can be tiring to, always have to be posting. It can be a mental drain, because now you're trying to keep up with your Instagram, the youth group's Instagram, unless you give it to somebody else to use, which that's okay. I mean, you can just say, hey, look, I'm not running the Instagram. I'm gonna hand that off to somebody responsible. That's the key word. Hand it off to somebody responsible in your youth ministry. That could be an adult leader's job, or it can be a student's job that you go over that with them of what are the rules for running the Instagram, right? So in my feed, and you're welcome to follow me, by the way, over at the D Project. You're welcome to do that. And there's just me posting. And this way, too, my students who follow me here get to see kind of a whole picture. They get to see the big picture of Paul. What does Paul do? For those kids who ask, Paul, what do you do all day? Or they ask you, what do you do all day? What's your job? Or what's your life like? They want to know stuff about you. Well, if they will go to my personal one, well, they're going to find that. And they're going to notice that I love to eat and cook a little bit. I post their pictures there. I also post it in my GroupMe, which is, sufficient for them. If they don't want to follow me and they just want the stuff about the group, well, then they can always just check that out. Okay. Of course, I put some encouragement there, youth events that I've taken them to, just some group pictures, some quotes, and you can do lots of things on your Instagram. You can do polls, you can do videos, you can do, contests. You can do all those things. There's lots of things you can do on your Instagram. Now this here, if you see this is a new resource product that I have here. Let me just click on that. And this is I'm going to be putting this up in our GroupMe as well as my own personal Instagram here, because I just designed something that says, what can I do to reach out to students? And not only just students, but people in my area or people who follow me in the community. Maybe somebody finds this who doesn't go to church, but they like the stuff I'm posting, that kind of thing. And so let's see here. And so these are just a few would you rathers, and I'm putting those in the thing there, just to kind of engage. Would you rather be a vampire or a werewolf? And I'll post that, and then they'll tell me in the comments, which one do you like? Would you like to be a vampire or a werewolf? Or I could put, would you like to spend the night in a creepy house or a cemetery? Would you rather have a pet black cat or a ghost companion? And so, I'm going to do 31 of those throughout the month, and that way it's kind of automatic that I'll be able to engage them, that I'll be able to, it's something I don't have to worry about, I don't have to worry about what to post. I think that's what we are concerned about most of the time is what are we going to post? What are we going to, what are we going to put on here? What's going to engage? What's going to help? And like I said, it could be anything. It could be anything that is it could be scriptures. You say, look, I'm going to post the scripture of the night, right? What was the core scripture from Wednesday night or from our youth meeting? What was, have somebody be your photographer for the night, and they'll take the pictures. They can airdrop them to your phone, and then you'll post all the pictures from the night. So there's lots of ways to engage your students. If Instagram is their platform, then you have lots of choices to be able to engage them with, whether it's polls, whether it's photos, whether it's little things like would you rathers, any of those things. So I think you just kind of come up with a plan, just kind of write some things down and say, hey, I'm going to this is going to be my social media. It's going to be my social media calendar for the month. For the month of October, it's all going to be would you rathers, Halloween would you rathers. And if you want that, by the way, it's free. There'll be a link down in the description. You're welcome to download that. And then, you can, once again, say for November, maybe it's a scripture every day. You say it's going to be a scripture of thankfulness, or it's going to be asking students what they're thankful for today. Those type of things. So, there's ways of just doing it that, don't have to be taxing. They don't have to be, make you feel like you're, like you don't, like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to put out there. Try something. And if you get stuck, well, then take suggestions from your students. Let them decide what gets posted. Let that be, hey, send me a picture you want me to post on our Instagram. Send me a picture of you and your friends. Send me a picture of you, that could be a contest there. Show me a picture of you doing something crazy. Or, if it's Halloween, something, show me a picture of your Halloween decorations, something like that. And it doesn't have to be a big, huge, deal. It's just coming up with some thoughtful things and then, creating the time to be able to either create something or just get some of that, crowdsourcing from your students to then be able to post those things. So But yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed today. I did, in asking and answering these questions. And once again, thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part today. Appreciate you being part of Office Hours. I encourage you that if you want to be live with me next week it'll be 2 p.m. Wednesday, Central Standard Time. You can hang out and we can chat. We can talk questions, talk youth ministry, talk shop. Maybe you have questions about your youth meeting, the very youth meeting that you're going to have tonight if you're having one. Well, then we can, talk about that. You're welcome to ask me my suggestions for that as well. But that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you enjoyed the content. And if you did, well, go ahead and click that thumbs up button. It tells me you like the video and you want more of them. And if you're not subscribed yet, well, be sure to go and click the subscribe button and you'll get videos like this all the time. And click the bell notification as well. And that way, when I go live, you'll know I go live because you will have been notified. And but that's it for today, guys. I hope that you guys have a great youth meeting tonight. Hope the Lord does a tremendous work in the lives of your students, and I hope that the Lord does a great work in your life as well. So enjoy the rest of the day, everybody, and have a great youth meeting tonight. And I'll see you guys next week. Have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye.